I don't know what's happening with Apple's streaming service, but these guys are releasing some of the best content and they're quiet about it. I stumbled across this movie Wolves. That's an absolute hidden gem, and I'm kind of mad at Tim Apple because him and his people didn't market this movie hard enough. Like, I've never seen the movie go from being kind of good at first to being unbelievably amazing the more things go wrong for the main characters. Tim Apple, fire your Apple TV marketing team. They failed this movie. So I accidentally found out about this great movie that was hidden on Apple's streaming service. Don't ask me how I saw this movie, but just be glad that I did. Wolves is a movie starring Brad Pitt and George Clooney, and I don't know how to describe this. Basically, we see how people in power get away with horrible crimes that they commit regularly. The premise of the movie is actually pretty simple to follow. The movie Wolves starts out with this politician lady freaking out in what looks like a really nice hotel room. So whilst she's going back and forth, we see a dead body on the floor. Cool. So her panicky state makes sense. This politician lady ends up calling the secret number on her phone and she gets into contact with the fixer. The fixer breaks down the rules for how this is gonna go and she agrees. The fixer then shows up to her hotel. When the fixer gets to the hotel, he immediately conducts an investigation to see how he can help in this situation. He asks the politician lady some questions, he touches the dead body, he goes into fixer mode and begins his process. In the middle of his process, they hear a knock on the door and another fixer enters the chat. Is it just me, or are these fixers really good looking? Anyways, the fixers go back and forth and they end up getting forced to work together. They don't like that because fixers work alone. They get the politician lady to leave because it's better if she's not there. The fixers then start to clean up the room and get the body, which is a kid who isn't a prostitute by the way, out of there. Mid-extraction attempt, one of the fixers finds a bag in the room. Guess what? This bag has drugs in it. Guess what? These drugs aren't just normal drugs, but they're specific drugs, and there's a lot of this specific drug. According to the fixers, these drugs happen to have disappeared in a shipment that was being delivered to some insanely dangerous people. These dangerous people don't play about their drugs. So now the fixers are in a pickle. Disposing of the dead body was supposed to be a quick 1 or 2 hour job, but now they need to find out where these drugs came from so they can return them and not have all this heat come find them and their clients. Cool. So they transport the dead body, which is a kid who isn't a prostitute by the way, out of the hotel and get the body into fixer number one's car, aka George Clooney's car. Fixer number two, aka Brad Pitt, goes out of his way to be unbelievably annoying and kills precious time with his antics, and they get into a whole other pickle. See, when it was time to leave the hotel with the dead body, which was this kid who wasn't a prostitute by the way, Brad kept pulling stunts, and in the middle of one of his stunts, the not prostitute kid wakes up. This presents a whole new problem because if he was just dead, they could have discreetly dumped the body, but now, at least they can ask him, where did the drugs come from? The Clune man and the Pit transport the kid to a doctor friend they both have, and mid-like operation I guess, the not prostitute kid runs out the building. They do this cool chase scene and they catch the not prostitute kid. They get the info they need from the not prostitute kid, and now they gotta handle the situation with the drugs. They end up at this wedding party and the dangerous group of people who they were trying to avoid were at this party. Movie stuff happens and you should watch the movie because I'm skipping a lot. Actually, watch it though because this movie is amazing. They get to the spot where they can drop off the drugs and they send the kid, who is not a prostitute, in to deliver them. I mean, he had them originally, so he should handle this, right? As soon as the kid walks into the spot, Clooney and Pitt get ambushed by these dangerous people they were trying to avoid, and they take care of that. They walk into the handoff spot. They find the kid who's not a prostitute, and both are shocked because this not prostitute kid can't die. They contemplate killing the kid because that was the job, but the Clune man feels remorse, I guess, and says, nah kid, who's not a prostitute, you should get a chance to live. They then take the kid home and go get breakfast. During breakfast, they have this interesting convo where they low-key realize that they are literally the same person. But what's weird is even though they have the same job, they know the same people, and are the same guy, they have actually never ran into each other. Then they break down the whole night's events and they realize that this was all a setup and someone needed them to be together. Funny thing is, the movie Wolves was shot in NYC and the diner they were at was mad empty. So, when they were about to conclude their discussion, the camera pans to show that they were alone in one of the most crowded cities in the world and they get ambushed again. Fade to black, the movie ends. One thing I do want to touch on is the kid wasn't a prostitute. And this not prostitute kid did point out that Brad and George were low key the same guy. And now a quick word from our sponsors. I don't have sponsors. Please like the video.